over my 30 years, I do believe that my role is to look after 1 million people that trusted me and to be honest about it. So I didn't retire as a very rich person. All of us, we get a good salary, but we are not super rich. And that was part of what it means to be keeping expenses low so that the cost to the customer is low, and also whatever profit we make, we plow back to them.
Before the next episode of the Yalabot podcast, we have got a message from Folklory about words of wisdom. This is our series of in-depth interviews with 60 Singaporeans aged 60 and above to capture their life lessons as podcasts. This will be part of Singapore's SG60 celebrations next year, and will celebrate their amazing lives, perspectives, and wisdom for future generations. But we need your help. If you know a Singaporean above 60 with an unforgettable life story, you can nominate them to be interviewed and have their words of wisdom turned into a folklory. So head on over to folklory.com/words of wisdom or click on the link in our bio to send us your nominations. And now, on to the podcast. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Yala, your thrice weekly podcast where we talk about the hottest news with a touch of what, Terrence?
Good old humor.
Good old humor, man.
Yeah.
And today we have someone very special in front of us.
A friend of Yalabat.
Friend of Yalabat.
Friend of Yalabat, yes.
Yeah, former guest. And we're going to be talking about something that has been in the news lately, which we have actually spoken about, but seems to be getting more and more traction. And we figured, okay, why not bring someone with experience to come and shed some light on it. And we have none other than the former CEO of NTUC Income from 1977 to 2007, the longest serving CEO of NTUC Income, Mr. Tan Kin Lian. Welcome back to Yalabat.
Yeah, welcome back, man.
Thank you for inviting me again.
How have you been since the last time we saw you during the presidential elections last
Well, I'm fully retired. And I spend my time, some of my time in Forest City, and the rest of my time just keeping track of the news, the events around the world, and also about the problems in Singapore.
So do you think Forest City is like going to be the next place, after Dubai, the next place is going to be Forest City?
It will take some time, but it is quite a nice place to be in. So far, it is now rather quiet, which I enjoy very much. But later on, I think it should be much more busier.
I see.
But I mean, speaking about busy, like the last couple of weeks, I think a lot of buzz and interest has come up again around the company that you used to work at, Income Insurance, or formerly known as NTUC Income, also, right? But before jumping into all that, right? Could you just tell us a bit about what you did at NTUC Income specifically? Just give people a quick rundown of what you did during those 10 years.
30 years.
30 years. 30 years.
Now,
the NTUC Income was formed in 1970 as a cooperative society. And now many people don't know what's the difference between a cooperative society and a typical company.
Yeah.
Now, a company aims to make profit, and they distribute their profit to their shareholders. And most companies will want to make as much profit as possible to give to the shareholders. Now, a cooperative is different. So NTUC Income being a cooperative, it declares to the shareholders dividend not more than 6% per year. So that means you can make whatever profit you make, the maximum dividend is 6% a year. But since it is not aimed at maximizing profit, the focus is how can it serve its customers, the policyholders, in the best possible way. And that is maybe by offering insurance at lower cost to meet their needs. So the aim is not to make a lot of profit for shareholders, but how to serve the customers, the policyholders.
Yeah.
So that's the main difference. So I was recruited to run NTUC Income in 1977. It was actually a firm established earlier in 1970.
Okay.
So when I joined NTUC Income, at that time, to be quite honest, I don't know what is a cooperative.
Yeah.
So I get to learn about the cooperative after I joined. And I think it's a wonderful idea. That means you got a business enterprise that is formed mainly to serve your customers rather than try to make profit for shareholders. And of course, at that time, NTUC Income goal was to serve the workers and the common people. Whereas the other insurance companies, they go for the big fish, the people who've got plenty of money. So the common people, ordinary people, they were not well served by the insurance companies. So that become where NTUC Income focuses its attention on.
But just now, you mentioned that a cooperative is a business that is not focused on making money for the shareholders, but serving their customers, right? But can't you say the same about a regular business as well? I mean, business is always, serve the customer, provide the customer. How is a cooperative different?
I think the aim of a business is how can I make as much profit as I can. And then so I can pay higher dividend to my shareholders. And then my share price can increase. That's the main focus. Whereas a cooperative, because the dividend is capped at 6%, so we don't really think so much about how to maximize profit, but how can we offer our services to more people to meet their needs, so that the focus is a bit different.
So that was the founding principle of NTUC Income, right? And in those 30 years that you were there, was it always the case? Did it ever evolve or change during that period?
I very quickly learned that the best way to serve the policyholders is to make the insurance services available to serve, to meet what they need, and to offer to them at a lower price, make it more affordable. Rather than increase profit for shareholders, how can we serve our customers to meet their needs? So that was the main focus.
But that means, are you saying that because compared to what a regular business would have done, are you saying that even if it costs more to reach more customers, maybe decreasing the amount of profit you make per customer, that's something that a cooperative would do, but a regular business would not?
That is true, because the regular business will find that it's not worthwhile doing business with low margin, serving especially the ordinary people. They can make more profit by serving the rich customers. So the cooperative therefore says we want to reach out to people who need our services. So how can we offer to them? So that was, I think, the main focus of NTUC Income, to reach out to people that otherwise would be not well served. But during that time, we not just serve the lower income people, the working people, even civil servants, teachers, and so on. They like NTUC Income, and many people then would prefer to buy the insurance from NTUC Income because we are a cooperative.
So the word cooperative also, right? Like what is you spoke about how the cooperative might function differently, but the structure of a cooperative compared to a business, what is so cooperative about it?
I think the key difference is under the cooperative law in Singapore, the maximum dividend you can get from payout every year is 6%. And that the shares actually came from the trade unions, the NTUC trade union. They put in the share capital to establish NTUC Income. And when I first joined, the share capital was actually very small. So being very small, we couldn't do the same things as the big companies can do. They got plenty of money, they got more capital, they can employ very capable people.
Yeah.
NTUC Income, we have to pay more modest salary. You cannot compete with the big, well-capitalized company for paying high salaries. And similarly, when we appoint people to sell the insurance, the commission we pay to them are also lower than the market. So this is how we can make the insurance more affordable. So that's, I think, the key difference that we want to see what the customers need and how we can offer to them at lower prices. And after a while, because we were quite efficient, we keep a cost low, we were able to make a good profit. And the profit don't go to our shareholders because the shareholders already got their 6%. The profit is plowed back to the policyholders in the form of bonuses on the policies. So after a while, the policyholders find that they are getting a very good deal, cheaper premium, and they can still get a better return.
I see. So, I mean, you just touched on it briefly, but so the relationship between NTUC and NTUC Income, and I mean, the government in general, like what has that relationship historically been?
Well, the trade unions and the NTUC put in the capital to start Income. So they are actually the shareholders of NTUC Income. We also allow policyholders to put in the capital to buy the shares.
I see.
But the trade unions form the bulk of the capital. Individual policyholders also put in buy the shares, but we set a cap on each individual policyholder. So we don't want a multi-millionaire to come and buy over the large part of the cooperative.
I see.
So each individual is subject to a cap, maybe $10,000. So we want to get more people to put into the capital, but the trade unions put in the bulk of the capital to start the business. So the NTUC and the trade unions are the shareholders, the main shareholders, but what they get from their share capital is, according to the cooperative law, a dividend not more than 6% a year. And whatever is the excess profit that NTUC Income can make in a year, those go back to our policyholders as bonuses on their life insurance policies.
Got it.
So that means, is that a function of a cooperative also where the customer can buy the shares? Because that's not a regular company, right? Unless you're listed.
Yes. A cooperative gets its capital mostly from the customers. In the case of Singapore, the additional source of capital comes from the trade unions. But elsewhere, they come from the ordinary customers.
Got it. So my understanding is that this was changed in 2022 when Income corporatized, right? Is that accurate to say like this arrangement has changed?
When I was running NTUC Income, we were able to operate at low expenses, selling expenses as well as operating expenses. Now, that was because our expenses were lower, we are able to offer our insurances maybe cheaper than other insurance companies, maybe by about 10%. So that become actually a key selling point. The policyholders know they can get cheaper insurance. And after I left, then the new management that comes from the commercial background, they therefore says maybe Income should be more like the other insurance companies in terms of managers that are more highly paid, salespeople that are more highly paid.
Yeah.
So they changed their business strategy to be more like the other insurance companies. That means the premium becomes higher and the return to the policyholder become less. So that was over a period of about 10 years or so.
Okay.
Also, I think the new management also decided that why don't we get the banks to sell our products, not just our own sales force, and why don't we get independent financial advisors to sell our products? So when you reach out to these channels, which are actually adopted by the commercial insurance companies, then the difference between Income and the other company narrow. So the cost goes up. For a while, I think Income was able to maintain this market share, but over time, the market share starts to drop. My own belief is if you are Income needs to have to be different from the other companies, because if you are the same as the other companies, you have a disadvantage. You don't have that much capital, and you don't have that much of a brand name. So when I run Income, I say we must be different, and we must let people know how we are different. So when the subsequent management, together with the board of directors, want to be more like, let's follow what other people are doing, I think that actually diminished the special attraction of Income. So the market share, during my time, Income's market share in life insurance was about 20%. In terms of premium, but in terms of number of policies, we were higher. We were larger than more than 20%. And that for most of my time, we were in the top 3 among the insurance companies.
Okay.
Then as time goes on, Income's market share starts to drop. So about prior to corporatization 2 years ago, the market share dropped to less than 10%. And instead of being in the top 3, Income dropped to about the 5th or 6th position.
Okay.
So the market share has diminished. So the majority shareholder, that's NTUC, thought that they need to corporatize in order to bring in some more capital to compete in the market. But that's their decision, which they have to decide. I don't agree with that, but I don't want to object to that.
So, but that was 2022, right?
Yeah.
But when you said that the management after yours made these decisions, what was the reason for doing that? Was it because the market share was declining, or you all were losing out, or fear of competition?
I think the main reason is, I built up Income over 30 years, and I know that Income's strength is to be a cooperative, to operate at low cost. So that was my philosophy. The management after me and the board probably think that Income can do better if it becomes more like the other insurance company in their operation. That's my guess, because I don't keep in touch with them. So I was actually rather surprised to learn recently that the market share had dropped.
But over your 30 years, was there always any pressure at all to be more like the other competitors, or only that came towards the end, or was there any at all when you were in charge?
The board of Income, the board of directors, comprised of people from the trade unions as well as people from the private sector, the commercial sector. So within the board, there will be people who understands Income, the strength of Income as a cooperative, whereas other people will think that Income would be better if it was operated manage more commercially. So there's always this discussion within the board, but it doesn't amount to making a change to the structure, the cooperative nature of income. What was being discussed would be why don't we do this or why don't we do that, which is, in my mind, suitable for a commercial company, but putting a disadvantage for a cooperative. So my view was what must we do to make sure that we operate on our strength and not follow other people based on their strength. So other companies have got more capital, they got more international name, so they therefore decide their strategy based upon their strength. And I say we must base our strategy upon our own strength. We are cooperative, we are serving our market. So there's always this discussion, what the business strategy should be.
But is it, I mean, because there is a very strong social mission, right, that you stated, is it still realistic, even in today's world, hyper-capitalist world, for there to be a social mission versus like just making more profits and just being thriving as a capitalist company, and then being able to serve your customers better that way?
I believe that an economy that is too capitalist is not a good economy. You must have within the economy a strong social sector. So you give people, you give the capitalists some competition. You don't want to follow the capitalists, because capitalism could be actually quite bad for many countries. So a social sector should offer a difference. And if the social sector become more capitalist and more profit oriented, it will be actually not good for the people.
But I mean, there is the social sector of non-profits, but the cooperative fits in this middle ground, right, where it's capitalistic to a certain extent, but social to the other extent, right? It's not a full non-profit.
Well, you can consider the cooperative to be part of the non-profit sector. But the non-profit in Singapore is actually also quite small. In some countries, it's more the public sector. The government is a public sector. So you either have the state sector, the public sector, or the social sector, or the commercial sector. There should be a good balance.
So I mean, just we talked a lot about the history of NTUC Income and all, and now there's this is a lot of discussion going on, and there are a lot of people with very strong emotions about the issue. Why do you think this issue of the Income-Allianz deal is so emotive for the everyday Singaporean?
You see, there are more than 1 million people, maybe close to 2 million people, who have life insurance, motor car insurance, health insurance with NTUC Income. And among the life insurance policyholders, their savings, many people bought a life insurance policy and put in the premium for 20, 30, 40 years. The amount is quite a lot. So the policyholders of Income who has so much savings here, or they have their health and motor car insurance, they therefore would be quite concerned if Income is sold to a foreign company which is profit-driven. So they will ask, what will happen to my policy? I've got so much money with Income. What will happen to my policy? So therefore, there's this concern. It is quite different from, let's say, NTUC Fair Price. A customer of NTUC Fair Price says, if Fair Price prices are too high, I can go to other supermarket. Okay, but Income is different, because Income, so many people have put in so much of their money in Income, and they also have bought medical insurance and motor car insurance. they are worried that the premium will go up, and for life insurance, they are worried that their return on their life insurance policy might be reduced if it's under the control of a foreign insurer.
Sure.
But are there any examples of cooperatives in Singapore that are still around?
Fair Price Supermarket is a big cooperative. And besides Fair Price, I think the rest are actually quite small. So Income and Fair Price are the big ones, and Income is now corporatized. So there's only remaining Fair Price, I think.
Right. So I mean, to the earlier point, like you said, a lot of people have money stored away with income insurance. But at the same time, I see people bringing up, saying that, Goh Keng Swee, when he started, the early pioneers in starting this idea of NTUC and income and all, was to give back to Singapore, give back to the average Singaporean, right? Why are people bringing up all these ideas of what the pioneer generation was doing for Singaporeans, and how it's a betrayal to go against that idea?
There will still be a segment of people that are better served by cooperatives, which was what the original reason for starting NTUC Income. And once it become privatized, this segment of people may be not well served by the future NTUC Income. So I think this is the reason why some prominent people think that NTUC Income should remain a social enterprise rather than become part of the profit-driven sector.
Yeah.
There are already enough insurance companies that are profit-driven. Why don't keep NTUC Income to serve the people in a different way? I think that's the sentiment.
But can it still be considered a social enterprise because it was corporatized already, right?
Okay. Yes, it was corporatized, but there was the understanding that NTUC will still remain the majority shareholder.
NTUC Enterprise.
NTUC Enterprise will still remain the majority shareholder, and they will still be in control. Now, when this is sold to the new foreign insurer, NTUC Enterprise will not be in control. The new insurer, foreign insurer, will be in control. Now, I myself have a worry, and I wrote to NTUC Enterprise about my worry, because Income now has $43 billion of assets, 43 billion, of which 32 billion are the life insurance policyholders' savings. The money that they have for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. That's 32 billion. And within the 32 billion, if you look at the policies, you can see some part are guaranteed, contractually guaranteed, and some part are bonuses that have been declared and they are vested, so they are also contractually guaranteed. And there's another part which is called terminal bonuses that are not guaranteed. It depends upon the insurance company year by year. Of course, if it is run fairly, the non-guaranteed part will be paid out, which has been the case over the years. Now, when I was running NTUC, the non-guaranteed part was about 10%. But subsequently, under new management, the non-guaranteed part has increased to a bigger proportion. I don't know whether it's 20 or 25. I don't have the figures. But if you have got 25% that's non-guaranteed, out of 32 billion, 25% could be 8 billion. It's not guaranteed. So I'm worried that if it's run by another controlling shareholder, whether this 8 billion could be spent in other ways not for the benefit of the policyholders. So this is the risk which I wrote to NTUC, the controlling shareholder, to say this is quite risky. I'm not suggesting that the new controlling shareholder will take advantage of it, but if they do, there will still be people will still not know. Let's say you spend money wastefully to do things that are not to the policyholders' benefit. So I think there's that risk which is my concern. So I wrote to the controlling shareholder to tell them you must find out some way to make sure that when income comes under a control of a new controlling shareholder, then this is well protected.
But do you think that, because you served 1977 to 2007, do you think there are things about the insurance industry that maybe is vastly different from the time you were there, that maybe you might not be aware of also? And of course, this is an assumption. I'm just thinking that was still 27 years ago, and things change.
27, no, 17 years.
Oh, 17 years, 17 years ago, which is still a long time, and now every year seems so different from the past. If you're basing your kind of like letters to the controlling shareholder based on stuff you knew 17 years ago, right? Is that fair?
The risk is still there. Some fundamental things don't change. If you got 32 billion, of which let's say 8 billion is non-guaranteed, some dishonest controlling shareholder could take advantage of that. But if it is properly protected by people who knows the risk, and then it becomes okay. Or if it is run by the current controlling shareholder, then it's okay. But when you have a new controlling shareholder, you don't know. You don't know what might happen.
So, I mean, a lot of the justification that we're hearing right now from Income's side is that this step is necessary to sell, the majority share to Allianz, to stay competitive, to survive, in fact, and then they say that will give them access to capital and Allianz's back office and everything. But some people online were saying, isn't that possible even if Allianz doesn't take like a majority controlling stake, like they take 49% rather than 51%? Does that controlling stake make a huge difference in the future of the company?
It makes all the difference. Allianz would not pay 2.2 billion to buy over the shares if they do not have a controlling stake. Now, what do they do after they take a controlling stake is something we don't know. And this is something which I'm afraid, because of the 8 billion of discretionary benefit that are inside Income, there's something I'm worried about. So I hope that some arrangement can be made to make sure that this is the interests of the policyholders are protected.
But do you think it's people are being unfair by assuming that some bad stuff is going to happen?
I think one should be more assured if it is controlled by people that you know, that you trust. But if the control goes to somebody that is a stranger, one should be worried.
Because there's also the saying that more people get screwed over by people they know compared to people they don't.
Income has been around for 50 years. Income has treated its policyholders very well. I want to share a story. Shortly after I retired from Income, I received an email from a policyholder. It's a lady. And that lady told me, Mr. Tan, now that you are leaving Income, I want to thank you for what you have done to build up Income. And I want to share with you this story, this actual happening to me. 20 years ago, when I have to buy a life insurance policy, I have to consider between Income and another international company. I decided to split my savings into two policies, one with Income and one with the other company. Same amount, same 20 years. This policy has matured. Income pay me 100,000. This is quite a big policy. The other company pay me 80,000. A difference of 20%. So it says, Mr. Tan, I want to thank you for what you have done. At least you've given me more for the same amount that I pay to the other company. Yeah? Now, many policyholders would remember that they get a very good deal from NTUC Income. Of course, they don't have this direct comparison of the same policy, but they are very happy with that deal. Now, that is possible because over my 30 years, I do believe that my role is to look after 1 million people that trusted me and to be honest about it. So I didn't retire as a very rich person. I get paid quite well, but not the kind of multiple million a year. No, nothing like that. It's not only me. The people that work with me, all of us, we get a good salary, but we are not super rich. And that was part of what it means to be keeping expenses low, so that the cost to the customer is low, and also whatever profit we make, we plow back to them. So that is actually many people remember me for this contribution, and I think this is important for the country because we must take care of the ordinary people. We cannot have certain people making so much money and other people becoming quite poor. So to look after the interests of the ordinary people is very important. Okay, so those are the old days about what I consider to be public service, serving the people.
So the one thing that you mentioned, that you believe that it's still important that they take care of the common man, right? So let's say income insurance now, let's say for they really need either an injection of capital or something to change to help them survive. So I know in the response they published in regards to the ex-CEO Tan Swee Chia's open letter, they said that they considered three different things. One was a strategic partnership, one was IPO, and one was sale. So they didn't say how they analyze each of those. But what would be another option aside from a sale? Let's say if they cannot survive without the sale.
I have got no idea what can be done. But certainly when I left, there was a business strategy that performed quite well. And going forward, because the cooperative and the management and the board decided to take a different path, it ends up into a certain situation. They got a lower market share. What can they do about it? Frankly, I don't think that the new partner will solve the problem. You're going to compete with established big names, and the new partner is just a newcomer. I don't think it will work, but that's my personal opinion. So when people say that, this will be the solution, I say I'm not too sure. I don't think it was a solution because you must know the market, and the other international names or the big local players, they've been around 50 years. They know the market. I don't think a new insurer would know the market. So I don't think that is the answer.
Also, Allianz is considered a very new insurer in our market.
At least in the Singapore market.
I see. So, I mean, just talking about the because I think the open letter as well, they also talked about the issue of for the minority shareholders getting their share diluted in the process. I mean, that part is completely separate from the policyholder side of things, right? This is about shareholders who had a certain percentage of NTUC shares at one point, and then now there's a bit of worry that they will get the short end of the stick from this sale. Can you sort of sum up like what exactly is going on there?
That open letter said that NTUC Enterprise injected a large capital amount to increase from their shareholding of 30% to 70% by capital injection. And the capital injection was at par. At par.
Which means like $10 limited by the corporate.
$10 per share.
Per share, yeah.
So they are putting it at par, whereas the original shareholders that held the share for 30, 40 years will be diluted when new shareholders come in that at the same price. So that now that it's going to be sold to Allianz at 4 times of the price. So the letter says it's not fair. Not fair that the new capital will be given the same ranking, same appreciation as the old capital. And the old capital has been around for a long time. So that was the argument. Now, I stay out of that debate.
Okay.
Because under the original cooperative, the shares should always remain at par. Should always remain at par. And the original shareholders put in money, including the individuals. They put in the money knowing that it will be returned back at par, not at appreciated value. So now that with this sale, and it's become more than 4 times, then one can argue that it's not fair to the original shareholders compared with the new shares. And that's the argument. But in my case, I said if we base upon the original thinking, everybody should get back at par, rather than go through this windfall. So that's my thinking. So I stay out of the debate whether it's fair or not. But I have a concern on behalf of the minority shareholders, that's the policyholders. They were worried that the majority shareholder, that is NTUC Enterprise, will sell off their shares at $4, and they will be stuck with their shares that could not be sold. So I wrote to Mr. Lim Boon Heng, and he replied to me that if this goes through and approved by MAS, the minority shareholder who want to sell will be given the first choice. And NTUC will only take whatever is the balance, NTUC Enterprise. So in that respect, the minority shareholders should be quite happy because they're getting 4 times something that they never expected to. So they are not being treated worse off. Even though they're getting 4 times something that they expect only to be at par, they get 4 times. So in that respect, I think giving the minority shareholder the first choice would be all right. But my concern is actually the policyholders. The policyholders with 32 billion of their savings, 32 billion, of which 8 billion is discretionary. That's my concern. And I voiced that concern to NTUC Enterprise as well.
Because so that means in some way, even for someone like me to think about it, because when I read the response from NTUC, they were saying that even at the shareholder voting, 99% of the shareholders voted for corporatization or something along those lines, which in my mind, I'm like, okay, then they are taking care of their stakeholders, like their shareholders. But what you're saying is that there are the shareholders, but there are the policyholders who might not be shareholders.
And the policyholder stake is much, much bigger. The share is relatively smaller. So my concern is for the the policyholders,
I see.
whether their savings will be well looked after or not. If income remain under the control of NTUC, I believe that they will be very safe because it's been under NTUC for a long time. But going to a new controlling shareholder, I don't know.
Yeah. So I mean, from what I understand, the deal is really irrevocable. Means it's already it's already agreed between both parties and it's meant to go through and approved and all. But I hear still MAS still has a role in overseeing it. Like what can be done at this stage or anything?
Well, I hope the MAS is aware about that risk that I pointed out, that perhaps 20-25% of the 32 billion are discretionary, and the MAS would ask for certain safeguards. I don't know. I think it's not wise for income to be sold to a foreign entity. It's not wise. But then that's something beyond my own personal view.
So let's say if they block the sale, but income still needs something to like what I asked just now, solve their problem, or at least survive for another few years.
Income is not in trouble. Not in trouble.
Based on their earnings or?
Oh yeah, it's very sound. Of course, their market share has dropped for life insurance, and I think that could be addressed. By getting new products, building the sales force. Getting the right product, building a sales. I think that can be solved. So I don't think there's a need for injecting new capital. Of course, the people running NTUC Income may have a different concept about what the growth should be. But in my opinion, the growth should be based upon the strength of income, the tie to the common man, to the local people. That should be the approach. And not to behave like what the international company would do. That's my view, but that's only my one person's view.
Okay, but one thing that I was thinking is that, just a very simplistic way of thinking. Okay, this has so many Singaporeans at the heart of their operations. Would the government ever inject capital, or as an insurance company, that is not possible, or like there's a big delineation?
If I were in charge, I will look for what are the insurance products that can be sold that does not require so much capital. And there are options. Even my successor Tan Swee Jay did mention that there are certain products doesn't require that much capital, and that would be still quite good. So I think it's possible to manage to grow the business by choosing products that are not capital intensive.
So, like, what example of what product could be not? Like, what is a capital intensive insurance product and what is not?
This is a bit technical. Under the MAS regulations, certain type of product you need to have more capital to back up that product, and certain type of product you need less capital. For example, the one that needs very little capital is an investment-linked fund. We put the money into a investment-linked policy, and as the customer, what you get will depend upon the value of the investments. You're not guaranteed. Nobody guarantee you that you're going to get what you paid, but you are getting whatever is the value of that investment. Now, those products should be would require very little capital when you don't have a guarantee that you will get back the amount that is promised. There's no promise. You just get back whatever is the value of the fund. In fact, more and more people are investing in this kind of products, and that would be one possible way.
I see.
So therefore, I say that there are products that can be designed that do not require much capital, but you still need the skill to market the product, to make people understand the product. You see, people ask me about their investment, and I tell them how I invest. I choose good companies, put my money there, and during crisis, the price of my stock that I hold will drop because the market has dropped. I said, don't worry, you don't have to sell when the market drops. Just hold it, and then it will recover after another 3-5 years. And those kind of products should be suitable for people, so that but you must educate them not to worry about day-to-day fluctuation. It does not matter. So that would be the kind of product that I think will be suitable for people.
I see.
But they need to be educated about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that means, like, let's say the sale goes ahead, right? And Allianz becomes like the majority shareholder. In your experience, what can be something that is done to an insurance provider that maybe does something that doesn't benefit their shareholders, or like, is there a penalty or some sort of regulations? Because, for example, banks, right? When the bank goes down, they get fined by the Monetary Authority of Singapore. But for income providers, insurance providers, have you seen anything where they get what are the regulations or safeguards in place?
Well, banks, insurance company have to meet capital requirement. So depending upon the risk that you take, the promises that you make, you need to have capital to back that up. And if you have insufficient capital, of course, MAS will ask you to top it up. If you don't top up, then they can impose certain fines on you. And that applies to banks and to insurance company. Of course, if an insurance company don't have that much capital, free capital, then they should be selling other products that don't have big capital requirement, that don't make promises. So there are ways to run your business according to your financial situation.
But for example, because we've spoken about publicly about how there was this one network that we made a TV series for, and then they liquidated. And then once they entered liquidation, we saw nothing of the money they owed us. For an insurance company, hypothetically, right, is that possible for them to be like, okay, we liquidate, then what happens to the premiums? What happens to all the money that's invested? Has it ever happened before, whether in Singapore or somewhere else?
Not to my knowledge, because insurance is quite well regulated. And the major risk that they have is that their assets drop in value. Let's say stock market drop in value. And in my opinion, that drop in value should be not a major factor, because it will recover so long as these are good stocks. Of course, if these are bad stocks that are of companies that are already bankrupt, then of course it's a separate matter. But most insurance companies are quite well managed. So although the stock price has dropped, it does not matter because it will recover later on. And this is, I think, the problem with the MAS regulation. They pay too much attention to the fluctuation in the stock price of the assets of the assets, and I think that is something which I don't agree with MAS even 30 years ago. But they say this is international practice. I said some international practices are also quite bad.
So, there's been a lot of prominent public figures like yourself coming forward to speak up about this. But then, sometimes amongst lay people, I don't know about you, but I haven't felt, it's not like everyone on the street is talking about it. Maybe because it's a very complicated issue with policy holdings, shareholdings and all that. What do you think the layperson might not understand about how important this issue is that they need to understand?
Because many policyholders have so much of their savings in income, they will worry whether their savings are safe and their premiums are safe or not, and whether when there's a transfer of controlling shareholders, whether the money, their return might drop. Okay, so I think this is the main concern. For people who have a lot of their savings in income, for other people, some other people also worry. They say that they are insured with income on their medical insurance, whether the premium will go up by a lot on the renewal or car insurance. So they are worried about the change of controlling shareholders, what will happen to their existing policies. Now, for some of them, their concern is exaggerated. If it's a health insurance and the premium has gone up, you still have the option to move to CPF Life, which is also quite okay. So it's not really a very serious matter. And whether the premium will go up or not, you can wait and see. There are other options. Even for car insurance, if the premium goes up, you might be able to find another insurance company that can offer you car insurance at a lower premium. But I think for the life insurance policy, that's the biggest concern, which I also share.
So what should people do if they hold on to life insurance policies with NTUC now?
Some of the policies they have taken for a very long time, 30, 40 years, the cash value is quite good. That means if they surrender, they can get back much more than what they paid in. So if they want to surrender the policy and get the cash, that's something that they can consider. Whether they should or not depends upon their individual circumstances. There are other people that took policies more recently, and if they cash out now, they are going to suffer a loss. The premium they pay in and the cash value coming out, they'll suffer a loss. So for these people, they probably should just stay a while longer and see how things develop. That means you shouldn't be making a decision just out of fear. Let's see what actually happens. But for people who are having a good return on their policy for the last many years, and if you want to cash out, it's something they can consider. In my case, after I left Income, I decided to cash out all my policy because I got better ways to invest the money. So that's my personal view.
What about people who were just about to sign up, but then they heard this news?
I think they shouldn't sign up for something which is so uncertain. But if you're already in, then you're stuck, then whether you get out or not, my suggestion is just wait a while longer and see how things turn out. Anyway, if you've just taken a policy recently, the money that you have is relatively small. But if you have taken a policy for 30, 40 years, the amount is quite big. So you may want to cash out if you can still get a good return based upon what you have put in.
So what do you hope can happen in the next couple of weeks? As this goes to Parliament and more people start to discuss it as well.
Well, I hope that the risk that I pointed out about the non-guaranteed benefit amounting to $8 billion, that the MAS consider that. The NTUC enterprise consider that, and hopefully they should get some assurances from the new controlling shareholder regarding that part. I don't know what kind of assurance. For example, they might appoint Mr. Tan Swee Jay or Tan Kim Lian to be the trustee to look up, because we know what the risk is. So at least if we're on the board, we might be able to say, hey, I know what the problem is, and we can keep an eye on it.
So this is your application for the role. You're announcing your application.
Well, but it's not just me. There could be other people. But it has to be someone who understands the problem.
Yeah.
I raised this problem. But I think Tan Sui Jie also understand the problem. If it goes ahead, but if it doesn't go ahead, that means it's withdrawn. Then NTUC should continue to be the controlling shareholder.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, thanks, Mr. Tan, for setting out, laying out the foundations for us to understand. Because, I mean, we've talked about it on the podcast, but not easy to get our heads around it.
And it's also important to understand. I know, even though some people say that you cannot look at the starting point of NTUC Income now is a very different beast. But for us, it was still useful to understand, okay, what is the context of all this and understanding why people are having this reaction.
Actually, the role of NTUC Income to serve the workers and ordinary people remain valid. So there's still a need for that role. And that role will be served by Income operating differently from the other companies. You don't need another. There are so many international companies operating the same way. Income don't have to follow that way. Income should do it differently. That has been my view when I was in Income, and that's my view today.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. I mean, the next few weeks going to be exciting, given that it's probably going to be discussed in Parliament.
And you want that special
one Shiok Thing.
Yeah. From Mr. Tan Kin Lian, who is the second time giving us a one Shiok Thing.
You have one already?
Yeah.
Okay.
I travel to Malaysia often, and I hope that it's possible for Singapore and Malaysia to get closer, to cooperate. I love traveling in Malaysia. I meet very nice people. And I want to encourage more Singaporeans to travel to Malaysia and to have an open mind about our neighbors, not to have past misconceived ideas, to have an open mind. And I look forward to the high-speed rail that will be operating, that will make it easier for people to travel.
Got it. So your one Shiok Thing is Malaysia. Malaysia is the one Shiok Thing.
That's I think the biggest one Shiok Thing we've ever had.
Which is true. People can enjoy Malaysia.
It is a Shiok Thing. It's a Shiok Thing. Okay, cool.
Harish, you go ahead.
Yeah, so my one Shiok Thing was another Olympics moment. It was the 4x400 meter mixed race, which I never knew existed. I always thought it was 4x400 meter men's, 4x400 meter ladies, but then there's a mixed race. So it's 2 men, 2 women. And for the finals that were over the weekend, on the last leg, the USA was leading and the Netherlands were 4th. And it was the women's leg to cap off the full race. And the Netherlands runner, the Dutch runner, Femke Bol, she went from 4th all the way to 1st. I think she ran a split timing of 47.33 seconds. And to just see how she made up all that ground, was so awesome. Even her teammates were in disbelief. The other teams were almost in disbelief because it was so epic.
It looked almost like there was a glitch in the video because she suddenly went from the behind and everyone's still running very fast, but suddenly she just overtakes everyone.
And even at the 300 meter mark, I think that was when she's overtake the person who was 3rd.
Yeah.
But over that, the first and second still looked so far ahead.
Yeah.
And it was amazing to see, man. That was awesome.
Quite inspiring.
Yeah. You?
My one Shiok Thing is if you go to the gardens by the bay now, there's an exhibition in the Flower Dome called Impressions of Monet. So I think it focuses on the Impressionist painting. But the cool thing is that, there's all these exhibitions, Van Gogh, Da Vinci and all. But the cool thing is because the Gardens by the Bay has all these flower arrangements that they do, right? They actually make the flower arrangements like what you see in the Monet paintings, the Impressionist paintings. So they recreate what it might have looked like when the person was doing the painting.
So this is a closed exhibition? It's
Flower Dome, the Flower Dome, so it's closed, it's enclosed, But it's very nice because they set up, they have the flowers aspect, but they also have light show aspect, like similar to the other exhibitions that have been done before about painters.
Oh, so you went over the weekend?
Yeah, I went over the weekend. Yeah, I think it's all the way till September. So
nice.
Interesting to try out. Yeah.
I shall go there because I'm a
Member.
member.
Yeah, exactly.
You're a member?
Yeah, he's a member of the Guns by the
Bay. So thanks so much, Mr. Tan, for joining us. And I mean, it was informative. Hopefully our listeners found it useful as well. And thanks everyone for listening.
Yeah, thanks.
Oh, it's live, is it?
Oh, yeah. It's not live.
We're just done recording, but we're just saying, thank you everyone for listening.
Yeah, and we'll talk to you all soon.